So, one of the first questions I'd like to ask you is to kind of delve in deeper into your journey. At what point did you realize that your child had autism?
When he was about 2 years old, that was after I noticed just shortly after he's taking the MMR jam, that MMR jab, that was when I noticed that. I noticed he was flapping his hands continuously, and I was a bit concerned about it.
Okay. And prior to seeing all these different things in him, did you have any idea of what autism was, or did you have any experience of handling any children with autism, or was this completely a new experience for you?
Well, it is a new experience for me actually, and coming to think of it, though, when I look back, I think the problem started from the time he was born because I noticed that he was very, very quiet, unassumingly very, very quiet. And a lot of parents used to say to me, "Why is your child very quiet?" And I didn't understand that. So I suspect that, that it must have started from the time he was born autistic, really.
Okay, interesting. So, I guess my next question to you would be noticing all these changes at the age of 2, what was your immediate reaction? What did you do?
Yeah, I contacted my health visitor and she said to me, "Oh, that I'm exaggerating. There's nothing wrong with him." Because I went online to Google. It was in the 90s and people didn't know much about autism anyway. But I had to Google and I kept showing her information on autism. And she keeps saying to me, "Oh, no, no, there's nothing wrong with your child. You're just exaggerating, and he's your first child anyway. So perhaps that's why he's not talking yet. And all those flapping is just normal." So they normalize the whole thing.
Okay. So, going back into it. So, aside from him flapping his hands, so what other symptoms did you notice in your child?
Yeah, he used to say things like dada, apple, orange, and all of a sudden he stopped saying them completely. And he kept flapping repeatedly and kept making some strange noises, and he kept looking, like when he's flapping, his hands is very close to his face, and he's staring closely to that his eyes, that his hands that he's flapping, which I found quite very strange though.
That's quite interesting. So, you're meaning to tell me that he had speech and then he lost it?
That's right, yes, he lost
Wow,
his
okay.
speech, yes.
Okay. So, is this something that's quite common for autistic children, adults? Is this quite common for them to?
Yeah, sometimes it can be common though. People, a lot of it, because autism is a wide spectrum. A lot of people, their speech came to come on quite later in life, but for him, his speech came on before he turned one,
And then,
and then he lost it.
okay, okay, that's quite interesting. Okay, moving on from that now. So he's older now. We're now like in the ages of like 4, 5, 6. At what point did you realize that, you know, he might not be able to go to public school? At what point did that kind of come into play?
Well, when it came into play was actually, um, when he was about to go to primary school, and I was struggling with potty training. And he got admission to go to a Catholic school, and the school said they will not take him on because he's in the 90s. But if he's now, it's quite easy for them to maybe do his ECHP or get an educational psychologist, to assess him. But in the 90s, it was not that. They didn't have a lot of people, to support him. So, he ended up, going to a special needs school because they didn't take him because he wasn't potty trained.
Oh, yeah. It's interesting how things have actually kind of progressed since then. So we were now in secondary school, well, in primary school, sorry, then we've gone to secondary school. Have you kind of seen an improvement in the way he behaves or the way he maneuvers at home? Or are you kind of seeing that maybe it's had a negative impact? What sort of impact do you think school had in his life and in his behaviors?
I would say it's, I would say, bad and good. It's quite a mixture really, because he went to a school that had, children with complex needs, and most of them have, profound needs that they had all kinds of complex needs, and he picked up some, and some of the things that was going on added to his own special needs. And I know he had a situation where he was hitting his knuckles. From hitting his knuckles, he moved on to chewing his sleeves, and from chewing his sleeves, he moved on to chewing his shirt. And from doing that, there was a lot of things moving from one habit to the other, and then finally, he just stopped them all. The habits. He became a paper shredder. He started shredding papers. He did all kinds of stuff, but somewhere along the line, I managed to find